roaming strew long unvisited moors. Let run this most sweet, limpid string, even to a note unheard in the unflecked blue, to a still, listening ear, where hillocks roll and grasses toss in the light, wistful year. Newborn rillet start to run. See, caught by the sun.
Sir.
Not now.
Sir, it's letters.
Not now. Where hillocks roll and grasses toss in the light, wistful year. Newborn rillet start to run. See, caught by the sun. Oh, Basil. What's the use? Basil. If only you knew how little I know of the things that truly matter.
It is your best work. The best thing you have done. You must send it to France, or Paris perhaps. London is far too... Oh,
I don't think I shall send it anywhere.
send it anywhere, my dear fellow, why? You seem to do anything in the world to gain a reputation, and as soon as you have one, you seem to want to throw it away.
I know you will laugh at me, but I simply can't exhibit it. I put too much of myself into it.
Too much of yourself. My word, Basil, I had no idea you were so vain. But he is a narcissist, and you have an intellectual expression in all that. But beauty ends when an intellectual expression begins.
Of course I am not liking Dorian Gray's good looks. We shall all suffer terribly.
Dorian Gray, is that his name?
I did not intend to tell that to you.
No, but why not?
When I like people immensely, I never tell their names to anyone. It's like surrendering a part of them.
Basil, it's Dorian.
Oh, you must introduce us now.
No, please do not take away from me the one person who gives to my art whatever charm it possesses. My life as an artist depends on him. Mind, Henry, I trust you.
Basil, will you come with me to dinner tonight? Perhaps we can attend an opera.
That entirely depends on how well you sit for me today, Dorian.
I'm tired of sitting. I don't want a life-size portrait of myself. I beg your pardon. I wasn't aware you had anyone with you.
This is Lord Henry Wotton, an old Oxford friend with a reputation as bad as his influence. I was just telling him what a capital sitter you were, and now you have spoiled everything.
You have not spoiled my pleasure in meeting you, Mr. Gray.
Henry, I would like to finish this picture today. Would you find it awfully rude of me if I asked you to go away?
Am I to go, Mr. Gray?
Please don't, Lord Henry. I see that Basil is in one of his sulky moods, and I can't bear him when he sulks.
I certainly shall not run away. You really don't mind, do you, Basil?
If Dorian wishes it, of course. Dorian's whims are laws to everybody, except himself.
Have you really a very bad influence, Lord Henry? As bad as Basil says.
Turn your head a little more to the right, Dorian.
Tell me, Basil, how did you meet this Dorian Gray?
The story was simply this. 2 months ago, I was at a crush at Duchess Monmouth's. You know, us artists need to show ourselves in society from time to time to remind the public that we are not savages. After being in the room for around 10 minutes, talking to portly, overdressed dowagers, I suddenly became conscious that someone was looking at me.
I was merely
Oh, there's no need to defend a compliment.
I turned halfway around and saw Dorian Gray's face for the first time. When our eyes met, I felt I was growing pale. I knew I had come face to face with someone whose mere personality was so fascinating that if I allowed it to do so, it would absorb my whole nature, my whole soul, my very art itself. It was simply inevitable.
Neither of us could help laughing, and we became friends at once.
Laughter is not at all a bad beginning for a friendship, and by far the best for ending one.
Why speak so narrowly of what's only just begun?
I couldn't be happy if I didn't see him every day. He's absolutely necessary to me.
How extraordinary! Here I thought you would never care for anything but your art.
He is all of my art to me now, the harmony of body and soul. How much is that? In our madness, we have separated the two and created a realism, an ideology that is void.
But surely we will be absorbed into abstraction should society... But what I mean to say is, does the body trick the soul into sensuality, or do our instincts stem from our very soul?
Every impulse that we strive to strangle broods in the mind and poisons us. The body sins once and has done with its sin. That's for its action is a mode of purification. Nothing remains then but the recollection of a pleasure or the luxury of regret. The only way to get rid of the temptation is to use it. You, Mr. Gray, with your rose-red youth and your rose-white boyhood, you passions that made you afraid, thoughts that filled you with daydreams and sleeping dreams, whose mere memory might stain your cheek. People will do. I
don't know what to say. There is something to you, I cannot find it. Don't speak. Let me think. Or perhaps let me try not to think.
Yes, that is one of the great secrets of life. To cure the soul by means of the senses, and senses by means of the soul. You're a wonderful creation, Mr. Gray. You know more than you think you know. Just as you know less than you want to know.
But what can it matter?
Because you have the most marvelous youth. And youth is the one thing I have.
I don't feel that, Lord Henry.
Well, you don't feel it now. Someday, you're old, wrinkled, and ugly, and thought has seared your forehead with its lines. Passion branded your lips with its hideous fires. You wouldn't feel it then, you would feel it terribly. Now, wherever you go, you charm the world. Will it always be so? Don't frown. To me, beauty is the real wonder of life. Realize your beauty while you have it. Live. Let nothing be lost upon you. Be always searching for new sensations. From the moment I met you, Mr. Gray, I saw that you were quite unconscious of what you really are. Of what you really might be.
It is the finest portrait of modern times. Mr. Gray, come have a look at yourself. I am awfully obliged to you. Don't you like it?
I would give you anything you like for it. I must have it.
It's not my property, Henry.
It's easy.
Dorian's, of course.
How long will you like me? Till I have my first wrinkle, I suppose. I know now that when one loses one's good looks, whatever they may be, one loses everything. Your picture has taught me that. Lord Henry is absolutely right. Youth is the only thing worth having. When I find that I'm growing old, I shall kill myself.
Dorian, don't talk like that. You are not jealous of material things. You who are finer than any of them. Henry, this is your doing.
This is the real Dorian Gray, that is all.
Between you both, you have made me hate the finest piece of work I have ever created, and I'm going to destroy it.
No, don't, Basil, don't! It would be murder.
I'm glad you appreciate my art at last, Dorian.
Appreciate it? I am in love with it. It is a part of me. I feel that.
I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. Turn you away. Turn you away from my company.
I understand I'm proceeding at my own risk, though I can't imagine what else. You don't seem particularly inviting to me.
Well, can be deceiving with yourself in a single exception.
Don't mind me, don't thanks.
Society is obsessed with complexity when simplicity is revered.
I am not one to be revered.
No, you're meant to be rash. You are not simple, yet nor are you complex. You are corruptible, which is far more attractive than simplicity will ever be.
I've been called many things, Lord Henry, but corruptible has never been among them.
Oh, but attraction is magnetized to corruption. It gnaws away at our resistance, allowing for sin to claw its way in.
What if I don't wish it to? Shouldn't desire come in a more fashionable disguise than the dissolve of integrity?
It's nothing to do with our own will.
Have I no control?
Now, why would you desire it? To control one's impulses starves the soul of humanity.
I'm not sure I understand.
Let us examine your jacket. Looks rather costly, the material feels rather fine. This must have run you a sizable fee, but in knowing this you continue with purchase. And it's rather fortunate. It compliments you perfectly. Had you not given in to the impulse to want, you would be seen the way you are now.
Actually, this purchase was an answer to my father's incessant crusade against me. It is my one satisfaction to learn to lead the life that he cannot stomach and to drain the pool of his wealth.
Revenge is its own reward, but a life of luxury, pleasure, sweet in the soul.
I'm never sure I understand you, but I always hope I do.
Everyone makes sense to someone.
And I must be that one for you.
I suppose you must be.
I tried to understand Basil, but he never says anything. I worry he's too dry of life to pour it into his paintings.
Basil has buried his life in his art, and it's far too late to retrieve it.
How can an artist create when he doesn't exist in the life he's creating? You, Henry, you live. Every moment is something. You make it something.
I'm flattered, but I don't possess enough patience to finish a sentence, let alone a painting.
No, I'm talking about your words. Become a writer. I feel it's only necessary for someone who speaks as
Excessively?
wonderfully.
Is that too much for me then? Spend my days hunched over a desk, writing words not even you would read.
I would read them, as I'm sure others would.
I have no desire to be a popular novelist. It's far too easy.
What if only few read your stories? Would you feel as if you had the last word then?
I love the last words of anything. The end of art is the beginning.
I should like to think that all of art is meant to be enjoyed.
But only the very best are meant to be ravished.
Basil tells me that the pleasure one has in creating a work of art is purely personal pleasure. And it is for the sake of this pleasure that one creates. The artist works with his eye on the subject. Nothing else interests him.
Am I to presume correctly that in this, should you be the painter, that I would fill the role? So
I didn't mean
it's all right. Just tell me what you desire. You are one I've decided that should never be let wilt into unhappiness.
Henry, I cannot tell you what I scarcely know myself.
I'm not asking you to search for anything you don't know, merely what you desire. Let not your brain trap your desires, rather let them flow through you. Now tell me, what do you desire?
I should like to go away with you, somewhere where it's hot and colored with hues I have never seen before.
I know of a club outside the prying eyes of society, and I would love for you to accompany me with it tonight.
Do you frequent this club often?
I promise a haven outside of eyes that may perceive its character as
Sinful.
sins of the flesh are maladies for physicians to cure, if they should be cured.
If you thought so, you wouldn't have asked me.
I believe our friendship, if I may call it that, is one that will not be kept quiet, but that will only be heard by those with healthy hearts to hear it.
A moral which the prurient will not be able to find in, but will be revealed to all whose minds are healthy.
That too is from Basil, I suppose.
Why do you assume all that I am has been crafted by Basil's hands?
Is all you speak of. And you're all there is in the world to him.
I assure you that's false.
Tell me this, my dear Dorian, has he ever taken you to such a place where sin gives way to sanity?
It's too dangerous.
You simply avoid those who know not what true passion is. Without hindrance of body or ideal, there There is nothing to separate us.
I almost regret these words as soon as they leave my lips. But I am not worth such a risk. In this world, it is the one we must concern ourselves with.
In all worlds of pain and pleasure, you are my ideal.
I'm afraid, Henry, of what I am, of where I stand against society.
Pleasure for the beautiful body, pain for a beautiful soul.
I simply find I cannot stand it all, against any of it.
It is a marvel to me that those red rose leaf lips of yours should have been made no less for the music of song than for the madness of kisses. You are beauty. You are always beauty.
How? How can I have beauty?
Hide behind discretion. You can have the world, Dorian.
Dorian, I was quite afraid when you called out of our last session I would not see you again.
The season with its red roses and pleasure absorbs me quite. And I'd almost forgotten how to write a letter.
Or take a cab here, in any case.
I was with Henry. You cannot expect me to be at your whim for whenever you feel you must paint me.
And I
My life exists outside the frame of your canvas.
And I suppose it was at the club, as Lord Henry calls that rotten facility, that you are to procure this life for yourself?
Calm now, Basil. You cannot condemn Henry simply for living.
Living? Dorian, he's hiding. Hiding in a makeshift void that reality will one day destroy.
If Henry has created such a secret, enabling entity for himself, I see no reason why he should not ravish the rewards. On the contrary, I should like to think that you would rejoice in his methods, given the ethics in your art, and in you yourself.
An artist has no ethical sympathies at all. Wickedness and virtue are to him the colors on his palette are to the painter.
Can't you indulge in the pleasures life has to offer you outside the confines of your art?
There are only two things in this world of any importance, love and art. You have both. They must never leave you.
Have I both?
Always, my dear Dorian, never doubt that.
Then why will you not?
Why will I not accompany you in a life full of secrecy and deceit?
A clever life.
You must deal directly with life, modern, terrible life, and force it to yield to you its secrets. You know what passion is, and what your passions are. It's all in you.
I have finally come to an understanding of my nature, and you wish me to disregard it? Extremity is too harsh a tone
You must
for
live
life.
fully or not at all. Most people are other people. Their thoughts, someone else's opinions. Their passion, a quotation. Their life, a mimicry. Let not your great passion be veiled by such cowardice.
I am a coward. At least I have the resolve to act on what you only wish for.
The aim of love is to love, no more, no less. There's no correct way to express it.
And your expression of love is nothing.
I have already
Why am I
explained.
nothing at all to you?
Let us always be infinitely dear to each other, as indeed we have always been. But I cannot, given the imminent danger and the fear of worsening the already frail bond with your father, do anything more than revere you in the manner that a painter would his subject. After all, that is what you are to me.
You choose to imagine a world in which you are not brave enough to love me.
It's not brave to sneak around in the shadows. It's foolish.
I am foolish to love
For
you.
months, I've wished nothing more than to hear those words, but I pray, return them once they turn sincere.
I am sincere.
You can only love in shadows, Dorian. If I were to love you, it would be so full, so joyous, so colorful that no shadow could darken its light.
You taunt me with words empty of action.
Words can still...
No, I won't hear.
You cannot grow deaf to what you do not like.
My sincerity is nothing to you, Basil. So I have nothing left to say to you. I'm off to the club with Henry. Goodbye, Basil. Why hast thou come to trouble my delight with memories? I had made haste to send my soul into red places, and to light a torch of pleasure to burn out my night. In silent acres of forgetful flowers, crowned as of old with happy daffodils. Long time my wounded soul has been astray. It chances now on somber hours of hard remembrances and sad delay, leaving the green valleys for the bitter hills.
This is the real Dorian Gray.
Give me thy empty branches for the biers of perished joys, thy winds to sigh my sighs, thy falling leaves to count my falling tears, and all thy mists to dim my aching eyes. Why do you wilt with such horror? What I cannot disguise, I'll hide.
Thou mayest know the mask of night is on my face, else a maiden blush would paint my cheek. For that which you have heard me speak tonight, fain I would dwell in forms, fain I would deny that which I spoke. But farewell compliments. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. And if thou swearest, I may prove false.
It's no use.
No use. You haven't exhibited a matter of months, and a subject was avoided. Dare say I'm doing you quite a favour, sitting like this for hours.
Hours? It's been half an hour.
Even still, I have much more admiration for Dorian now.
Oh, I was not even aware that was possible.
Are you referring to me and Mr. Gray's friendship?
I am, the one that has barred him away from my work. You have put a spell on him, Henry, and I'm afraid I will never see the real Dorian Gray ever again.
Dorian has free will. If he wanted to continue your friendship, I'm quite certain he would have.
A friendship isn't a sewer system. It's not something that should require maintenance.
You think I have broken his nature?
I suppose I can't blame it entirely on your doing. Not even you possess more cunning than his own reflection.
You mean to say that confidence is something you fault him in?
No, I hardly have enough gall to be put off, let alone fault him with anything. It's useless, my friend, and I made peace with that.
Don't get nihilistic on me, Basil. It's rather dull. I'm afraid I'm
I'm quite serious. Since the beginning of my profession, I made peace with the fact that I, like my creations, am quite useless.
Nonsense. As an artist, you must admit that the way one perceives the world is everything. Art is the pinnacle.
My dear sir, art is useless because its aim is simply to create a mood. It's not meant to instruct or influence action in any way. A work of art is useless as a flower is useless. A flower blossoms for its own joy. We gain a moment of joy by looking at it, but it's accidental. It's a misuse.
All this to say...
I acknowledge your friendship with Dorian, and I've made peace with the fact that I, like my art, am quite useless, as I must be.
Never marry a woman with straw-colored hair, Dorian.
Why?
Because they're so sentimental.
But I like sentimental people.
Never marry at all, Dorian.
I don't think I'm likely to marry Henry. I'm far too much in love.
Who are you in love
With an actress.
with? An actress?
Her name is Sybil Vane.
How long have you known her?
About 3 weeks. Well, one night, about 7 o'clock, I found myself in search of some adventure. I passed by an absurd little theater. If I hadn't, my dear Henry, if I hadn't, I might have missed the greatest romance of my life. It's horrid of you laughing.
I'm not laughing, Dorian. I'm not laughing at you. But you should not say the greatest romance of your life. You will always be loved, and you will always be in love with love. There are exquisite things in store for you, Dorian. This is the beginning.
Do you think my nature is so shallow?
No, I think your nature's so deep.
What do you mean?
My dear Dorian, the people who love only once in their lives are the true shallow people. Faithfulness, I must analyze it someday. There are many things in this world that we would throw away if we were not afraid that others might pick them up. But, to interrupt you, go on with your story.
Well, I found myself seated in a horrid little private box, very depressing, when I began to wonder what on earth I should do. When I caught sight of the playbill. What do you think the play was, Henry?
He lives the poetry that he cannot write.
I wish now I had not told you about Sybil Vane.
You could not have helped telling me, Dorian, all through your life and tell me everything you do.
Yes, Henry. I believe that much is true. I can't help telling you things. You have a curious influence over me. If I ever did a crime, I would confess it to you. You would understand me.
Is there something that is infinitely amusing about other people's tragedies?
Sybil is the only thing I care about.
That is the reason, I suppose, you never dine with me out.
I cannot help going to see Sybil play.
Can't dine with me tonight, though, can't you?
Tonight she is Imogen.
Is she Sybil Vane?
Never.
I congratulate you.
I want you and Basil to come with me tomorrow night to see Sybil play.
Shall you see Basil between this and then, or shall I write him?
Basil, I've not laid eyes on him for a week. It's rather horrid of me. Perhaps you should write to him. I don't want to see him alone.
I'd be delighted.
Thank you, Henry. I'm afraid my absence has rather dulled my friendship with Basil, though it's perfectly logical that I should be enamored. There's your problem, Dorian.
Basil cannot see logic, only fancy.
I believe you are of a similar mind.
As your life is a poem, Basil's is a work of art. If a man treats his life artistically, his brain is his heart.
Then I can only imagine where yours is. I must dress for Imogen. I shall see you tomorrow night, dear friends.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. Life's but a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury and all that. Good night.
Mournful autumn. Sad, slow death comes at last. I am mad for yesterday. Mad. I am sick for a year that is past. Though the sun be like blood in the sky, he is cold as lips of hate, and he fires the sere leaves as they lie on their bed of earth, too late. They are dead. And the bare trees weep, not loud as a mortal weeping, but a sorrow that sighs in sleep, and as a grief that is still in sleeping. Sybil, my love, that was absolutely marvelous.
Truly, Dorian? I'm so happy you think so. I only see you. I never play to anyone else.
My darling, I can never see anyone else.
Never? That must get awfully dull.
Never, my love. I can spend my life looking only at your face and never grow tired of its beauty.
Now you're just being silly.
Actually, I'm quite serious.
What?
I want to exist forever with your beauty.
What world, my love, is so
For as long as we both shall live then.
for the rest of our lives.
Why not, my love? Why not? Let us spend the rest of our lives existing solely to love the other.
Dorian, I would love nothing more.
My dear Henry, my dear Basil, you must both congratulate me.
I hope you will always be very happy, Dorian. Though I don't quite forgive you for not having let me know of your engagement.
Yes, I must admit it came as quite a shock, especially after yesterday when you told me you were too in love to marry. Do tell us all, Dorian.
There's really not much to tell. Last night, after the performance was over, I went behind and spoke to her. After sitting there for a while, there came a look into her eyes that I had never seen there before. I cannot begin to tell you what I felt at that moment. I feel I should not be telling you this at all. But I can't help it. I have been right, haven't I, Basil? To take my love out of poetry and to find my wife in Shakespeare's plays.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, Dorian.
At what particular point did you mention the word marriage? Perhaps you forgot all about it.
I didn't treat it as a business transaction. I wasn't aiming to be practical.
But women are perfectly practical. Much more practical than we are.
Don't, Henry, you'll annoy Dorian.
Dorian is never annoyed with me.
You are quite incorrigible, Henry, but I don't mind. Your theories about life, your theories about love, your theories about pleasure, all your theories, in fact, are just that, theories.
The one thing what theory about? That we're happy, we're always good. When we're good, we're not always happy.
What do you mean by good, Henry?
To be good is to be in harmony with oneself.
Yes, but surely if one lives solely for oneself, one pays a terrible price for doing so.
And nowadays, people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Beautiful sins, like beautiful things, are the privilege of the rich. Yes, Dorian, will always be fond of me. I represent to you all the sins. Never had the courage to do it.
Let us take our seats. She's Miranda tonight. when Sybil comes on stage, you will have a new ideal of life. She will represent something that you have never known.
Why, I must die. If I do not by thy hand, then thou art no servant to thy master. Against self-slaughter, there is a prohibition so divine that cravens my weak hand. Come, here's my heart. Before its soft shock, will no defenses, obey scattered. Away, corrupters of my faith. You shall no more be stomachers to my heart. Thus, the poor fool believes the false teacher, though those that are betrayed who feel the treason sharply, yet the traitor stands with worser woes. Dorian!
Are you ill?
No, why? Did you not enjoy my performance?
It was horrible!
As if you understand. Dorian, it was marvelous.
No, you have no idea how I have suffered.
You should have understood. Understand now, don't you?
Understand what?
When I was bad, why I shall always be bad.
You make yourself ridiculous. My friends were bored. I was bored.
Dorian, before I knew you, acting was the one reality of my life. I thought it was all real. Then you came with your beautiful love. You freed my soul from prison. Tonight, for the first time, I saw past the hollowness, the sham, the empty pageant in which I had always played. You taught me what reality is. You mean more to me than all art. I hate the stage. I may mimic a passion I do not feel, but I cannot mimic one that burns me like fire. You can see that.
You have killed my love. Yes, you have killed my love. You used to stir my imagination. Now you don't even stir my curiosity. You simply produce no effect. You have thrown it all away.
You love me as truly as I love you.
How bad I was to love you. What a fool I have been. You are nothing to me now. I will never think of you again. I will never see you again. I will never mention your name. You don't know what you were to me once. You have spoiled the romance of my life. How little you can know about love. You say that it mars your art. You are nothing without your art.
Dorian, with me. I'm sorry I didn't act well. I was thinking of you the whole time. I will try. Indeed, I will try. Don't be cruel to me, because I love you better than anything in the world. It's only once that I have not pleased you. You were right, my prince. I should have proven myself a better actor. It was foolish of me, and yet I couldn't help it. Dorian, don't leave me!
I don't wish to be unkind, but I can never see you again. You have disappointed me.
Into the silence of the empty night I went, and took my scorned heart with me. And all the 1,000 eyes of heaven were bright. But sorrow came and led me back to thee. I turned my face toward the rising moon. Out of the south she came, most sweet to see. She shined upon my eyes that loathed the noon. But sorrow came and led me back to thee. Oh love, oh sorrow, oh desire, despair. turn my feet toward the boundless sea. Into the dark I go, and heed not where, so that I come again at last to thee.
Dorian, I was hoping I would find you here.
Where else would I be?
At the club I feared with Henry.
It is 10 in the morning, Basil. The clubs are not open at such an hour.
And why do you look so exhausted?
I just got in. The streets contain a strange beauty at the desolate hours of the morning.
Dorian, do you know how dreadfully...
If you have come to scold me on my ways, I beg you to smother your efforts if only for tonight, for I am worn too thin and shall catch fire immediately.
I'll refrain, I promise. The reason for my visit was to tend to whatever fire you may have, not fan it.
What makes you think there is something wrong?
You fled the performance without waiting for the curtain.
I had to see Sybil.
Dorian, for the entirety of the performance, you resembled a corpse. Nay, I dare say a dead man held more life in his eyes than you. Why did you flee the performance in such a fit of passion?
Passion? Do not speak of passion and that wretched creature in the same sentence. My Ophelia, my Imogen, extinguished as swiftly as she had erupted. And I was left staring at a woman I had never laid eyes on before.
A fiancé you have never laid eyes on before.
That creature is no longer my fiancé. I can never condemn myself to be bound to such an empty stranger.
You broke off your engagement.
Immediately after the show.
See? Dorian, where's my portrait?
I moved it. The light was too strong on the portrait.
Too strong. Impossible. Let me see it.
No, Basil, you must not look at it. I don't wish you to.
Why should not look at my own work? Why should I look at it?
Basil, on my life, if you try to look at it, I shall never speak to you as long as I live.
I only want to see if it needs another coat of varnish, seeing as I will be exhibiting it in the fall.
Exhibit it? You want to exhibit it?
Yes, George Petit is going to collect all my best works for a special exhibition at the Rue des Ages. It'll only be gone a month.
She told me a month ago that you would never send it to any exhibition. You can have forgotten it, that you assured me most solemnly that nothing in the world would induce you to send it to any exhibition. What was your reason for refusing to exhibit my picture?
Nothing you do not already know, I should think.
And what reason can that be that you have not already denied me?
Dorian, from the moment I met you, I was dominated, soul, mind, and power by you. You became to me the visible incarnation of that unseen ideal whose memory haunts us artists like an exquisite dream. I knew I had seen perfection face to face, and that the world had become wonderful to my eyes. Perhaps too wonderful, for in such mad worships there is peril. The peril of losing them no less than the peril of keeping them. All this tucked secretly into your portrait. You must not be angry with me for what I have told you, Dorian.
My dear Basil, what have you told me? Simply that you felt you admired me too much? That is not even a compliment.
It was not intended as a compliment. It was a confession. And now that I've made it, something seems to have gone out of me. Perhaps one should never put one's worship into words.
You mustn't speak of worship. It is foolish.
The real fool is he who does not know himself.
I am no fool.
I sincerely hope not.
It's absurd, really. What is?
Sir, a letter from your father.
Absurdity. It really is absurdity. I cannot live without you. You are so dear, so wonderful.
I cannot tell you what effect your words have on me. Your soul walks between passion and poetry. I know Hyacinthus, whom Apollo loved so madly, was you in Greek days. And one of your qualms with society. My qualms with society, as you so charmingly put it, remain true. I still believe we'd be doing ourselves a disservice by hiding in corners.
Then why confess now?
I simply cannot bear the thought of losing all of you to Sybil. She does not deserve your wit, your beauty. I want to make Romeo jealous. I want the dead lovers of the world to hear our laughter and grow sad. I want to stir their dust into consciousness and wake their ashes into pain. And what of your father? I don't want
He
to
who
cause
knows
him-
not what love is will say that you have had a bad influence upon my life. If he does that, you shall say in turn that it is not so.
I prefer your father get no word of our friendship. It is far too dangerous.
I will take every precaution, Basil. I promise you.
And I suppose I shall follow through with mine. If you wish me never to set eyes on your portrait again, I am content. I always have you to look at. Your friendship is dearer to me than any fame or reputation.
And of course, I can never sit for you again.
That is what you wish. I am content.
It is. Though I despise treating our friendship like a business transaction, is it possible for me to make this inconvenience up to you? For example, I could give the servants the rest of the day off, should you desire.
We shall be alone.
Completely.
Fortunately, there is one person in the world to love.
Dorian! Did you get my letter? I wrote to you this morning.
Your letter. Oh, yes, I remember. I've not read your letter yet, Henry. I was afraid there might be something in it that I wouldn't like.
You know nothing.
I like to think I do.
Dorian, my letter. You're frightened. My letter was to tell you that Sybil Vane is dead.
Dead. Sybil, dead. It is a horrible lie. How dare you say it?
I've no doubt it was not an accident. Though it must be put that way to the public. It seems that as she was leaving the theatre last night with her mother about 12:30 or so, she said she forgot something upstairs. So they waited some time for her, but she did not come down again, and ultimately they found her, lying dead on the floor of the dressing room. It seems she swallowed some dreadful thing they use in cases like Chapman and prussic acid. She seems to have died instantaneously.
How terrible.
Yes. It's very tragic, of course, but you must not get yourself mixed up. You should not let this thing get on your nerves. You must come down with me tonight. And afterwards we will look in at the opera.
So I have murdered Sybil Vane, surely as if I had cut her little throat with a knife. And tonight I'm to go to the opera and to dine with you and then go to the club afterwards. How extraordinarily dramatic life is. Now that it has happened, actually, and to me it seems far too wonderful for tears. Henry, what shall I do? You don't know the danger I am in. She had no right to kill herself. It was selfish of her. What? She would have soon found out that you were absolutely indifferent to her. One can live in a lie only so long as there is understanding in it. Why is it that I cannot feel this tragedy as much as I want to? I don't think I am heartless. Do you?
You have done far too many foolish things in the last fortnight to be entitled to give yourself that name, Dorian.
I don't like that explanation, Henry.
You said something to me the night before last that seemed to me at the time to be fanciful, but now I see it was absolutely true. What holds the heat to everything wild?
What was that?
She was Desdemona one night, and Ophelia the other. That if she died as Juliet, she came to life as Imogen, but never Sybil Vane. To you, at least, she was always a dream, a phantom that flitted through Shakespeare's plays. The moment she touched actual life, she marred it, and it marred her. So she passed away. Mourn for Ophelia, if you like. Put ashes on your head because Cordelia was strangled. Cry out against heaven because the daughter of Brabantio died. But don't waste your tears over Sybil Vane. She was less real than they are.
You've explained myself to me, Henry. I have felt all that you have said. I was afraid of it, and I could not express it to myself. But we will not talk again about what has happened. It has been a marvelous experience. That is all.
Life is everything in store for you, Dorian. There is nothing that you, with your extraordinary good looks, will not be able to do.
But suppose, Henry, I become haggard, old, wrinkled. What then?
Then, my dear Dorian, you will have to fight for your victories. As it is, they are brought to you. And you must keep your good looks. We live in an age that reads too much to be wise and thinks too much to be beautiful. We cannot spare you. No. We must dress and we may drive down to the opera. We are London, as late as it is.
Must I really come? Surely we cannot attend.
We are only at the beginning of our friendship, Dorian. Good night. We shall see you at 9:30.
He was full, sad, and sweet. His eyes were strange, with a wondrous brightness, staring wide with gazing. He sighed with many sighs that moved me. His cheeks were wan and white like pallid lilies. His lips were red like poppies. His hands he clenched tight. And his head was wreathed with moonflowers, pale as lips of death. I fell a-weeping and cried, "Sweet youth, tell me why, sad and sighing, thou dost rove these pleasant realms. I pray thee, speak me sooth, what is thy name?" He said, "My name is Love." Then straight did the first turn himself to me, and he cried, "He lieth, for his name is Shame." But I am Love, and I was wont to be alone in this fair garden, till he came unasked by night. I am true love. I fill hearts of both boy and girl with mutual flame. Then sighing, said the other, "Have thy will, for I am the love that dare not speak its name."
so glad I found you. I called last night and they told me you were at the opera. Of course, I knew that was impossible.
I was at the opera. You should have come there. Don't talk about horrid subjects. One doesn't talk about a thing. It hasn't happened. It is simply expression, as Henry says, that gives reality to things.
You went to the opera? You went to the opera while Sybil Vane
Stop,
was
Basil. I won't hear it. Don't talk about such subjects. What is done is done. What is past is past.
Yesterday hardly qualifies as the past.
It is only shallow people who require years to get rid of an emotion. A man who is master of himself can end a sorrow as swiftly as he can invent a pleasure. I don't want to be at the mercy of my emotions. I want to use them, to enjoy them, and to dominate them.
Sorry, this is horrible. Something has changed in you completely. You talk as if you have no heart. No pity. This is all Henry's influence. I can see that.
I owe a great deal to Henry, more than I owe to you. You have only taught me to be vain.
Well, I am punished for that, Dorian, or shall be someday.
I don't know what you mean, Basil. What do you want?
I want the Dorian Gray I used to paint.
You have come too late. Yesterday, when I had heard that Sybil Vane had killed herself.
Killed herself? Is there no doubt about that?
Come now, Basil. You cannot think it was some vulgar accident. Of course she killed herself.
How fearful.
No, there is nothing fearful in it. It is one of the great romantic tragedies of the age. Sybil lived her finest tragedy. The last night she played, she acted badly because she had known the reality of love. When she knew its unreality, she died. Just as Juliet might have died. She simply passed again into the sphere of art. You must not think I have not suffered.
You felt no remorse for Sybil's death.
If you had come in yesterday at a particular moment, you would have found me in tears. Then it passed away. I cannot repeat an emotion. No one can. Except sentimentalists.
My sympathies were for your suffering. Now that I have discovered your humanity has withered, I retract my sentiments.
I know you are surprised at my talking to you like this, Basil, but I have new passions, new thoughts, new ideas. I am changed, but you must not like me less. I am different, but you must always be my friend. Don't leave me, Basil. Don't quarrel with me. I am what I am. There is nothing more to be said.
I will not speak to you again of Sybil after today. I only hope that your name won't be mentioned in connection with it.
They don't know my name.
Yes, but surely she did.
She told her mother my name was Prince Charming. It was pretty of her.
You say you are safe, yet you have the demeanor of a criminal awaiting execution.
I've received a letter from my father.
What does it say?
You mustn't leave me, Basil.
No, I can do nothing of the sort.
I'm serious, Basil. You cannot choose anything else but us, especially now.
Take me and all of my love, now and forever. Now what has your father written?
My father is a very esteemed figure in society.
Yes,
he
I know
has
as
not
much.
been pleased with my life here in London, and rather me move back where he can keep a watch on me.
You cannot.
It isn't. He has a certain persuasion amongst those who are want of money. He uses their lack of spine to bribe them to keep a watch on me and to supply him with information. Obviously, learned of the clubs I was attending.
Oh, Dorian.
No, quiet, please. It pains me to say this, but my friendships are not new to him. But of course, he would never disgrace himself by having me convicted.
Then
He's
we're-
suing you for gross public indecency.
What?
He's learned of our friendship, Basil. He hopes to frighten me out of my nature by targeting you. You must appear in court. Use your words, your wonderful, wonderful words, to bury my father where he stands. Basil, do say something.
Every great love story has its tragedy, and now ours has too. My passion is at a loss for words, but I know you can understand. Our souls were made for one another, and by knowing yours through love, mine has transcended many evils, understood perfection, and entered into the divine essence of things.
I will see if I cannot make the bitter waters sweet by the intensity of the love that I bear for you. Will you stay?
Appear in court,
Please.
You have given me the beauty of life in the past. And the future, if there is any future. That is why I shall always be eternally grateful to you for having always inspired me with adoration and love. I hope my testament is enough to protect our friendship.
Thank you, Basil. Thank you. My love, my hero. I am elated by your bravery, though I admit I fear any pain that this ordeal may force upon you.
Pain, if it comes, cannot last forever. But you alone will recognize the soul, which is more beautiful for having met yours. The soul of the artist who found his ideal in you, and the lover of beauty to whom you always appeared. It's flawless and perfect. I will appear in court for you.
I am caught in a wild struggle for existence.
The artist is the creator of beautiful things. Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are without being charming. That is a fault. Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are to be cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things, the only beauty, the moral life of a man forms part of the subject matter of the artist, but the morality of art consists of the perfect use of an imperfect medium. No artist desires to prove anything. No artist has ethical sympathies, and ethical sympathy to an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style.
Giving up the paintbrush for the pen?
Temporarily. Though I must admit I have not painted in ages. Actually, I am writing a defense for myself.
Against whom? Who could you have possibly offended? You rarely surface from your studio.
No one person in the world I wish to avoid.
It is rather unfortunate. If it's any comfort from what I heard, I rather enjoyed it. Though I suppose it is odd to announce to a jury that you possess no morals.
Morality does not help me. I am one of those made for exceptions, not laws.
A religion, then? It's always an easy key to the cold hearts of a jury.
Religion does not help me. The faith that others give to what is unseen, I give to what one can touch. I found in it not merely the beauty of heaven, but the horror of hell.
Suppose your problem is you speak with far too much sentiment.
Sentiment is the very cause of all this. Though I cannot give fault to what I so willingly gave. If I am to be honest, I have never been capable of faulting Dorian with anything. But he's not responsible for the wickedness he's called.
Is that the man you're going against? My dear Basil, what on earth are you thinking?
His father has learned of our friendship through hired eye, and in lieu of humiliating himself by putting his own son on trial, he aspires to frighten Dorian out of his nature by summoning me to court.
And you intend to answer to this summons?
I have no other option, Henry.
Flee to France, Paris, Madrid, Venice, have a holiday.
Be serious.
I'm quite serious, Basil.
I cannot abandon Dorian. It's against my very nature. Besides, I have created a statement that I believe will win over the jury. But I need you to speak as a character witness. Lying grows as a second skin on you. I suppose it will be no trouble at all.
And what is Dorian's role in all this service?
He's going to attempt to win the goodwill of his father, all that he can do.
Tell me this, Basil, why would he attempt to win the goodwill of his father now?
These are real stakes, Henry. Even Dorian can recognize when a childish feud must be discarded for the sake of a future.
I've made known my affections for Dorian, so do bear in mind, or wait, or a custom of my character, that I say this, but do you believe it is at all possible that Dorian has orchestrated all of this?
Why would Dorian risk his life, his stature, for no reward?
He creates the opportunity to humiliate his father by starting rumors his son is having affairs with men. His trial costs a sizable amount of money. What's more, if you win, he is defeated by a man of the very nature he so despises.
Dorian is reckless, but he's not cruel. I would not believe he would pawn me off to such an extent in the elaborate game that he and his father have constructed.
Tell me, how did his father learn of your existence?
A hired eye, as I said.
Don't imagine he knows of your friendship and not ours. Let's say we are far more reckless.
Perhaps one of the servants.
I did imagine he doesn't send them away. That he may be reckless, but he's not purposefully incompetent.
Unless he wants to be.
Unless benefits him to be so.
Yes, but Dorian loves you.
Oh, Basil, Dorian loves nothing more than others can mold him into. When one is in love, one begins by deceiving oneself and ends by deceiving others. That is what is known in the world as romance. He escaped in a shock, hasn't he? Figured it out, haven't we? He didn't trap you.
Yes. Yes, he has. He still has me. Somewhere in my convulsing conscience, I still have half a mind to testify, although I cannot fathom why.
There's no need to take a martyr, Basil.
I believed he was finally starting to get a sense of himself, a sense of life that his flightful nature never allowed him to develop.
Now it is you who must take flight, Basil. You must flee to France, unless you rather put us in jail. Who knows what your life may be at the end of such a dreadful sentence.
We think in eternity, yet move so slowly through time.
Basil, to what do I owe?
I must speak. And you must listen. You shall listen. While you were with me, you were the absolute ruin of my art. And by allowing you to stand persistently between art and myself, I give myself shame and weakness to the fullest degree. And in the case of an artist, weakness is nothing less than a crime when it is weakness that paralyzes the imagination.
Why have you come here?
I'm going to ask you a question, Dorian, and you will answer it fully. Truthfully, why? Because you owe me that. Along with the ends of the earth, if I am right. Did you tell your father of our friendship as a means to lash out against and humiliate?
For good reason. No, it's a compliment, really. A testament to your influence. His incessant. I cannot understand.
Stop it! I cannot see you so distorted by hatred. I cannot listen to your curt lips saying such hideous things to me. Don't do it! You break my heart!
As you break mine.
Impossible, Dorian. You have no idea what love is.
You are my idea of love.
Impossible. In you, hate is always stronger than love. Your hatred of yourself is of such stature that it entirely outstrips, overthrows, and overshadows your love of me. There is no struggle between them at all, but what you do not realize is that there is room for both passions in the same soul.
Passion fuels both love and hate. I am quite capable of both.
Love is fed by the imagination. Through it, we can see others in their real as in their ideal relations. Only what is fine can feed love, but anything can feed hate. Your terrible lack of imagination, the one truly fatal defect of your character, is entirely the result of the hate that lives within you.
My hate is fueled by a society that stands against me, and a father who attempts to punish me like...
Hate blinds people. You were not aware of that. Subtly, silently, hate gnawed at your nature, so you began to see nothing but the most meager interest and petty aims. If hate blinded your eyes, then vanity has sewn your eyelids together with threads of iron. Your soul is dried of passion and rots with hate.
You know nothing of my soul.
I'm afraid I am far too mortal to see your soul, but I know to my core it rots of hatred.
So you think it is only God who sees the soul? Pull that curtain back and you will see mine!
I do not believe this is my portion.
Can you see your ideal in
My
it?
ideal, as you call it.
As you call it.
There's nothing evil in it. Nothing shameful. You were to me such an ideal as I shall never meet again. This is the face of a satyr.
This is the face of my soul!
What a thing I have worshipped. It has the eyes of the devil.
How can you say such things?
I worshipped you too much. I am punished for it. You worship yourself too much. We are both punished.
I have shown you my soul, all that I am, and you mock me for it. I have nothing left, nothing to who I am, if I don't have the hope of discovering who I may become.
You very well may figure that out, Dorian, but I will not be here to steer you there anymore.
Where are you going?
I'm going to France, Dorian. There is a warrant out for my arrest that you so kindly orchestrated for me. I have absolutely nothing.
You still have me?
There is only one thing left for me now, Dorian. Absolute humility. Just as there's one thing left for you, absolute humility.
I exist in a constant overflow of humiliation. I thought that you would show me pleasure and pride, but you've only shown me scorn and sorrow.
You came to me to learn the pleasures of life and art. Perhaps I'm chosen to teach you something far more wonderful. The meaning of sorrow and its beauty.
I had to get a hold of your life to understand, to learn from it.
Having got a hold of my life, you didn't know what to do. You couldn't have done it. It was too wonderful a thing to be in your grasp. Goodbye, Dorian.
Alas, I have lost my beautiful god Apollo. Wherever his footsteps trod, my feet were wont to follow. He took my soul and bound it with cords of iron wire. 7 times round he wound it with the cords of my desire. The cords of my desire, while my desire slept, were 7 bands of wire to bind my soul that wept.
Decay fascinates.
What of art?
It's a matter of
Walde?
an illusion.
Religion?
The fashionable substitute for belief.
You're a skeptic.
But now, skepticism is the beginning of
And to define is to limit.
threads snap. You lose your way in the night.
You taught something else.
I hear he was once christened Prince Strong.
Don't call me that! To cure the soul by means of the senses, and the senses by means of the soul.
There is no use in your telling you good. You're quite perfect now. Great, don't you?
I've done far too many dreadful things in my life, Henry. It's time I change into something good.
Good. Dear boy, how did he plan to accomplish that?
In the country, Henry, there's no temptation there. I can resist everything except temptation. I was staying at a little inn by myself all this month.
Dear boy, anyway, can be good in the country.
I have a new ideal, Henry. I am going to change. I think I have altered a little already. People used to say to me that I was far too individualistic. I must be far more of an individual than there ever was.
I should think the novelty of the notion must have given you a thrill of real pleasure, though.
I can't bear this, Henry. You mock everything and then suggest the most serious of tragedies. I am sorry I told you now.
Every single moment of one's life, one is what one is being, no best than what one is going to.
I am in no mood for your theories, Henry. Between myself and the memory of joy lies a gulf no less deep than that between myself and joy in its actuality.
Come now, Dorian. You've always let pleasure be your teacher. You've done good to this rich now.
Sorrow, then, is my new teacher. I used to live entirely for pleasure. I shunned sorrow and suffering of any kind. I resolved to ignore them as far as possible, to treat them as modes of imperfection.
All these dramatics, because Basil took a holiday to Paris.
How did you know?
Basil and I are friends, Dorian. We do occasionally talk. But this would be of nothing important, at least I try to think. That's why I so admire you, Dorian. You have no motives in life, many appetites.
No motives, no imagination. I am convinced I am comprised of nothing but vanity and inconsistency.
Someone as beautiful as you were not in vain. I think you have never looked in a mirror. Why bother with something as common as mirrors when you have a personal portrait? Where is it?
I despise that monstrosity. I am sorry I ever sat for it. It used to remind me of some curious lines of a play, Hamlet. How do they run? It is a portrait of a sorrow, a face without a heart.
Come now, Dorian. Even for you, that is a tad bit dramatic. Besides, I hate the painting, but it's still the most beautiful creature I've ever laid eyes on. A second to you, of course.
It's hideous, Henry. I cannot begin to describe how horrible it
I've
is.
seen it before, Dorian. Besides, I know you and Basil had a falling out, but you cannot deny the quality of his work.
It's unavoidable, I suppose. I am not the same, Henry.
Yes, you are the same. Beautiful as its first creation.
You cannot possibly mean to say that the portrait looks the same.
Why, how else did it look? I wonder what the rest of your life will be. Don't spoil it now by renunciations. Quite flawless now. You need not shake your head, you know. You are. Besides, what you don't deceive yourself.
There are moments when the odor of lilacs passes over me, and I feel the strangest urge to fill the world with all that I am.
I wish I could change places with you, Dorian. Wilde has cried out against us both, but it has always worshipped you. It will worship you. The type of the age is searching for it, which is afraid it is found. Life has been your own. Your days are your songs.
Yes, life has been exquisite, but I am not going to have the same life, Henry. I am going to be good. You cannot say these extravagant things to me. I've changed a little already.
You cannot change to me, Dorian. You and I will always be friends. Come join me at the opera tonight, my dear. Shall I pick you up to 11? Perhaps we can go for a stroll first.
Must I really come, Henry?
Certainly. The park is quite lovely. I don't think there have been such lilacs since the day I met you.
Yes. I shall be ready for 11. Goodbye, Henry. The same.
This is the real Dorian Gray.
You've taken everything! Everything I might wish!
You do not make sense of the soul.
It's inescapable.
Dorian!
Why have you come back?
I thought foolishly that I needed to escape you in order to fully realize myself. Really, I needed to free myself from any possible bitterness against you.
I want nothing more than your forgiveness, though I know I do not deserve it.
Earn it by living truthfully as yourself. After all, everyone else has already taken.
I don't know how, Basil. My soul is far too rotten. I've sunken too deep into my nature, and I shall drown in the well of my hatred.
Well, you must not listen to anything I have said to you while I was angry. They may be true, but they are not permanent. I was afraid, Dorian, as you are, of your father. The terrible cost of our friendship.
Why are you here?
I'm going to testify, Dorian. Not to satisfy your scheme, but rather my new sense of self-worth. It may be the beginning of my demise, but I rather live a life full of noise than suffocate in silence.
Don't be so morbid, please. I cannot bear the thought of anything so horrible happening to you.
No artist is ever morbid. Vice and virtue are to him materials for art. You can forgive a man for making the useful thing as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making the useless thing is that one admires it intensely.
I cannot understand you, Basil.
Tell me, Dorian. What am I to you? Scream through the fear that so shut your soul.
I want the sheer passion of love to overcome everything. No renunciation, no morbid self-sacrifice. A sheer flame of love.
the whole crew and cast would like to give one big thank you to the person who created all of this and did it, the director, all her amazing mind, Maeve.
I wrote and directed Sure, but none of this could be made possible without these people around me, so thank you all so much. I don't know. This isn't my passion project, and I've never cared so much about anything that I've created. Oh, it's thanks to these people that it came to life so much more brilliantly than I could imagine.